Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Let me bring this down to very practical terms. We're in the middle of another election. This election in Georgia could determine, in fact, which party controls the United States Senate. I'm concerned that both of your companies are, in fact, backsliding or retrenching, that you are failing to take action against dangerous disinformation, exactly the same kind of voter suppression tactics that existed in the last election, and that you are, in fact, reducing content modification. The fighting words and hate speech in the last election could inflame violence and send poll workers into hiding, discourage people from coming to the polls. We have to expect the same kinds of malign tactics. In fact, they are already visible, and I'm going to ask, Mr. Chairman, that these posts and tweets be entered into the record, if there's no objection, that are aimed at delegitimizing the election in January. My question to you is, will you commit to the same kind of robust content modification playbook in this coming election, including fact-checking, labeling, reducing the spread of misinformation, and other steps, even for politicians, in the runoff elections ahead?
Senator, our policy is to have a similar approach in the upcoming Georgia special elections that we took during the general election.
Mr. Dorsey?
Yes, we do. We intend to learn from all of our experience with this election and bring all that learning going forward to make it more robust.
During the past election, there was rampant disinformation on social media in Spanish-speaking sites, repeating QAnon conspiracies and false claims of election rigging. In my view, you need to do better. Will you commit to taking steps to improve content modification for Spanish-speaking communities before the Georgia runoff?
Senator, this is something that we are already working on and worked on ahead of the general election. We have multiple fact checkers who focus on the Spanish as a language, and we made sure that we translated our voter information center into Spanish, which we showed at the top of Facebook and Instagram to everyone who uses those products in Spanish in the U.S. Those are a couple of the steps that we've taken, and we're certainly committed to focusing on this.
And yes, we will, in partnership with Latinx civil rights groups.
I'd like to know, and perhaps you could submit to me within 1 week, what additional steps you're going to take, because this Georgia runoff is underway. And as I've indicated, I've seen a backsliding and retrenchment that is very deeply troubling, that have enabled the spread of this disinformation, the restarting of certain algorithms, for example, that promote or amplify misinformation is very, very troubling. And I think I want to know within a week what additional steps we're taking to enhance the efforts to stop this kind of amplification and spread. Let me ask about Facebook community standards, which ban language that, quote, incites or facilitates serious violence. As you know, on November 5th, Steve Bannon, in a Facebook Live video, called for beheadings of Dr. Fauci and FBI Director Wray for not acting more favorably toward President Trump. Twitter banned Bannon for these remarks. You removed the video, Mr. Zuckerberg, but on Thursday, you reportedly told Facebook employees that Bannon had not violated enough policies that he should be banned from Facebook. My question to you is, how many times has Steve Bannon allowed the call for the murder of government officials before Facebook suspends his account?
Senator, as you say, the content in question did violate our policies and we took it down. Having a content violation does not automatically mean your account gets taken down, and the number of strikes varies depending on the type of offense. So if people are posting terrorist content or child exploitation content, then the first time that they do it, then we will take down their account. For other things, it's multiple. I'd be happy to follow up afterwards. We try not to disclose these.
Down his account.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Will you commit to taking down that account, Steve Bannon's account?
Senator, no, that's not what our policies would suggest that we should do in this case.
According to the internal records that are on the record now, leaked by NBC News, Facebook has removed fact checks and forgiven infractions for conservative pages and pundits such as Breitbart, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Gateway Pundit, based on a fear of accusations of bias. Has Facebook avoided penalizing or fact-checking conservative pages that had violated its policies based on concerns of political bias and allegations of bias?
Senator, no, we haven't done that. And I think that those reports mischaracterize the actions that we take. I'm not aware of any instance where we have overturned a fact check specifically. And certainly no action like that would be taken for the reasons that you're saying. What we do sometimes is apply some judgment on whether the repeat offender policies would render too harsh of a penalty, but that's different from overturning a specific fact check, and is not done for the reasons that you said.
Well, I'm very concerned that, in fact, Facebook seems to have a record of making accommodations and caving to conservative pressure, and the president has tried to use an executive order on Section 230 to again bully or browbeat and exert pressure on you and others in this industry. They're, in effect, working the refs, and they're winning. Let me ask you about antitrust issues. In 2013, Facebook bought Onavo, which is a virtual private records network that claimed to protect users' privacy. In fact, Onavo's access to private information about its users provided Facebook with unparalleled ability to track potential competition. I want to know whether Facebook used data from Onavo when it decided to purchase WhatsApp in 2014.
Senator, I believe that data from Onavo was one of the sources that the team looked at, but I don't think it would have taken using Onavo to understand that WhatsApp was a great product. And I don't think that was determinative in my decision to pursue that.
Well, in fact, the House antitrust report says Onavo data was used to determine whether WhatsApp was, quote, killing Facebook Messenger, end quote. My time has almost expired, but let me just say finally that antitrust action by the Federal Trade Commission is long overdue. I believe that decisive action is necessary, including very likely breaking up Facebook as a remedy. All options ought to be on the table, including divestment of Instagram and WhatsApp. The FTC ought to impose strict conditions on how Facebook uses consumer data and competes with rivals, because the abuse of competition must end. Mr. Chairman, I ask that 3 letters from civil rights groups regarding disinformation and hate speech on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and also a letter from a coalition of children's protection advocates on the Earn It Act and child sexual abuse material on digital platforms be entered into the record. Thank you both for being here today.